It was temporary. Sure, I'd back off on it. I'd like to back off as soon as possible because, frankly, I would like to see something happen, but we have to be vigilant. There is a radical Islamic terrorism problem that, our president doesn't even want to talk about. I think by putting together a commission, a group of people that are highly respected in this field, like Rudy and others, I think that could lead to something pretty good.
Well, that was Donald Trump discussing his temporary ban on Muslim immigration. He also, of course, you heard, suggested setting up this commission. It might possibly be led by former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. So does this mean he's getting a little bit softer on this approach to this topic? Joining me now, Steve Rogers, Cathy Taylor, and Christian Whiton. Christian, let me go to you first. Of course, Donald Trump fans love this as a key issue of his platform when he ran on. And any suggestion that he's getting soft, they don't take it too well, certainly not on social media. How did you perceive his comments?
I think going back to what he originally said, he always said it was a temporary ban. He was criticized at the time. I criticized him. Dick Cheney criticized him because it would be creating a religious test for a government process, which is the issuance of visas. I always thought that the line should be drawn not with Muslims, but with Islamists, the people who want to unify mosque and state, who want to subjugate women, who want to have Sharia, etc. But what he's really doing is just elaborating. Now, it is a signal that he's going to be reasonable and mature, but I don't think it's a signal that he's going to revert to the politicians we've had like Obama and Bush and Hillary.
When you say reasonable and mature, that's a euphemism for what?
Well, I think it is an elaboration. I don't think it's a climb down. I think everyone knows that of the two or three candidates, he's the one who is the most serious left, who's tackling radical Islamic extremism or Islamism or political Islam or terrorism, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's just an elaboration. It's circling back to an issue that was contentious and an issue that was contentious among Republicans. So I think people will give him a lot of leeway because they know his heart is in the right place, which is not necessarily anti-Muslim, it's anti-terrorist.
Well, Steve, here's the thing. One thing I'll say is when you start talking about temporary policy in Washington, D.C., you could be talking about forever. Right? The debt ceiling, the temporary doctor fix. But having said that, as an ardent, from out the gate, very beginning, Donald Trump guy, also a law enforcement guy, where do you stand on this? Do you see any wiggle room in this at all?
Now, look, he's refining the process. I remember as a police officer when we started to profile people, the media ran with everything was racial profiling. What he's doing is he's refining this process so that he's going to have this temporary ban, and you're not going to look for black males or white males 6 foot with red hair. You're going to look for the individuals that may be coming in to disrupt our national security.
Right, but how do you determine that? Christian talked about Islamists. Okay, a bunch of people coming in, want to come in from all over the world. You got 1.6 billion people. Some of them want to come in from Indonesia. How do you determine who they are? And then when do you remove the ban for people that you deem safe and keep it for others? It seems like a complicated process.
It is a complicated process, but again, he wants to refine this vetting process because, Charles, if you have people coming in with proper documents, with proper background checks, I don't think they're going to have a problem. The problem is when somebody comes to the gate and says, look, I have no documentation. Well, guess what? You're not coming in.
Right. Well, that's beyond common sense, particularly with the risk that we know involved.
Right, and I think there's a big difference that we're going to get to in this between the people and the process. We have a lot of problems with the process. We don't have that many problems with the people when you look at statistically and numerically who's come in and who's caused problems. Now, the real problem is it only takes one, but we have literally dozens and dozens and dozens of classifications of visas. We know some visas are much more problematic in the effectiveness of the efficacy of their background checks. So I think what Trump is leaning towards is not a back off. It's a turn towards being more presidential, and there's
Real
a
quick,
difference.
Yes or no, or give me a time. Could the temporary ban last less than a year?
I think that it's impossible to say.
What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he's such a smart guy. He's going to have smart people around him. I believe.
I don't think he's looking to drag this on.
Exactly.
As he said, we had a problem. That's what he's looking to solve.
Cool.